Hello everybody out there in YouTube land. So this will be the beginning of part 2 of what's turned out to be not just redoing the wet exhaust hole, but redoing the whole rear transom and painting it. So since the last video, I already epoxied this part here, and then I got it sanded so it's nice and smooth. Over here I epoxied in the holes, and I did it at night, and I ended up doing it a little overboard, so I'm gonna have a lot of sanding to do today. And for some reason these ones sagged more, like the epoxy came down so the bottom sticks out more. I don't know if it was because it was so hot. It was really hot the last few days here, so I'm gonna get to sanding. I'm gonna try to use my GoPro head cam, and I'll videotape some of the sanding process, and then once we get that down, I'll be back. Alright everybody, we are back. So the GoPro did not work, so I'm just coming back. So it's getting pretty smooth. It's got a little bit left. Once I get it down there, we'll do some fairing compound like this one, and we'll be good to go to start doing the primer. So back to sanding. Alright everybody, we are back. So part 2 of redoing the rear transom. It's pretty much what it's turned into being. So I got all the holes filled. I've got the fairing compound down, so everything's nice and smooth. Here's our old hole from the old wet exhaust. I got some of the crazing all filled in. So next, I'm going to drill out the holes before I put the primer on, so I know where they go. We'll just be doing these 6 here, and then these 2 down here for the rear, or 3 down here for the rear rudder mount. So that when I paint everything, oh, and then I got to do the one for the wet exhaust. So that when I paint everything, I'll know where they're at still. And then also, it won't chip the new paint. I was reading online, you can end up painting the back end and then you go to drill your holes and it can chip the paint. So I'd really like to avoid that. So I'm going to get everything drilled now. We'll see how it goes. Alright, we are back. So I've got all the holes drilled. I got the one drilled for the wet exhaust over here. I got the holes for the engine mount drilled, and the rudder controls and the bottom rudder mount. So I got everything taped up as well. So time to do the primer. We're going to be using Total Boat topside primer, and it's going to be gray, so then I'll be able to tell when I do the paint, the white over it, that I got a nice covering. So I'm going to get the paint out and I'll be back. Alright everybody, so I forgot to turn on the camera when I was doing this last time. I thought it was recording, but it wasn't. So I already did one coat on the boat with the Total Boat topside primer. We got our special brush thinner and our surface de-waxer surface prep. So I ended up using gray for the primer because I read online that you should use a different color than your final coat, so that you can end up telling that you got a really good covering when you do your final coat. So we're gonna let this dry and then we'll be back. Hello everybody out there in YouTube land. So the back is all painted now. So now is the fun part, getting to put everything back in. So the first thing we're going to put back in is for the bilge pump. So I'm going to get some 3M 4200, and I'm going to go in the boat and Grandpa Homestead will sit out here and hold it, and we'll get it nice and tight and sealed. All right, everybody. So this is inside in the back of the boat. You come into the quarter berth. There's the sail drive. This is where our battery would normally go. And there's an opening to get into everything in the back. So there is where the bilge pump goes out. This is the lower mount for the rudder. I did some penetrating epoxy into the wood all around it till none would go into it. So that's why it's all shiny there. Over there will be where the wet exhaust goes. So we'll get that in next, and I'll be back. All right, we are back on the outside, and as you can see, it's looking good. We have the rudder on. I made sure before we tightened everything that we put it on to make sure it lined up so we didn't get it tightened on and went, uh-oh, it doesn't fit. So, pretty cool. We fared in up here and painted it. They had a little trim piece you could get, but it didn't fit real nice, so we ended up going like this. So next it'll be to put in the rudder control thing that goes here, and I have some backing plates all made for it. So I'm gonna pause the video and I'm gonna hop up on in the boat and grab the stuff, and we'll come back and we'll get to putting that back on. Alright, before I climb up in there, I guess I thought I'd show you guys what I made. So these are the backing plates, and I painted them as well. And then this is the rudder control mount. So we just got to put it in there, use the 3M sealant, and then I'll hop up in the boat and we'll get it all tightened. Alright, we are back. So I have the backing plates on. All I got to do now is put on the washers and get it tightened up, and then it'll be good to go. So I'll end up making this the end of part 2 of repainting the transom. And I had already started a video about redoing the rudder control, so we'll just make this both of those. This will be redoing the back transom and reinforcing and resealing the rudder control mount part 2. In the comments below, let me know if you guys have any questions. Hit that like button and subscribe, it helps us out. And check out our Patreon in the description below. I'll see you guys later.